Back on part two. Sorry about that. Like I said, Instagram's always doing wild things to me. They pinned me for an hour because I posted an anti-racist rant. So I'm gonna grab you right now. Part two.
My man.
Like I said, it's Instagram is something wild. You know what I mean? I gotta
Eh,
find a platform to do this because like I said, I posted a picture of a KKK guy getting hung by a black man 10 months ago, and then about a month ago, all of a sudden my live was banned, and they said because of that, it went against their guidelines. They took my live away for a month, and so before I could do these lives for 4 hours, and now they handcuffed me for an hour at a time. So I'm
what the fuck is wrong with people? And I think it's not people. It could just be an AI
mm,
designed to just do this for. I'm almost convinced there's no human ethics behind it. Like especially when you have a situation like that where you know, yeah.
I I was the
Don't
stuff
get
I
me started.
on Instagram, and then what I posted, and then I get banned. I was just like, I can't
Yeah,
believe this. So
yeah.
I had to make another page, a backup page, and I did Eric Paul from Arabon Radar. I did on that side, and then I just had to upload it onto my regular page. But such a pain in the ass. But
Yeah.
I'm back now. I wish I could go 4 hours again. Hopefully, I think you have to do like 10 lives for it to open up to whatever it is. But
Really? Like,
my my apology for having to do a two-parter.
no worries. I mean, honestly, it's funny because I think we did a Zoom. I don't know if it was a Zoom but we just kept getting kicked. This kind of thing, I've never had like the way I talk. Uh, yeah, I've never had the ability to do it like this without any sort of some technical difficulties, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
No.
so no worries.
I wanted to ask. I always hear this. What do you think of the term when somebody says page 99 is the kings of screamo? What do you think of that
The
sentence?
word,
Well, just
uh,
page 99 being the kings of screamo, which I never thought page 99 was a screamo band. You guys get labeled that all the time. I think you're just a punk like slash hardcore band. Um, uh, what do you think of that?
um, it's a term that it's like a term that I don't. It's a term that people use that weren't there. That's kind of how I think of it. It's like
Mm,
if you weren't there, you call it screamo, or you call us screamo, or
yeah.
you call us the kings of screamo. Because if you were there, you'd see that there was no screamo bands or screamo people around, and we weren't standing on a pedestal with crowns, or no, there was no thrones about there. So there's nothing. At no point were we ever the kings of anything, like, so it just doesn't mean anything to me. Like, it's like something that somebody else invented and has that's their that's their nomenclature and reference. Like
Yeah.
I come from a different era.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It was like somebody mentioned scrams. I think Frankie scrams.
That
I
word.
that's the new screamo word, which I get it that you kind of people know what you're talking about when you say scrams, but like the word itself just boggles my mind where it came from. I can't
It,
relate.
yeah,
So
man. Well, and it's funny. We always, a bunch of us always crack jokes about it. Like the word itself. It's like, of course, in a time when genre names were fucking killing it, like power, violence, all
yeah,
these fucking, like, because genre names were like huge back then too. That
yeah,
you had all these different cores
yeah,
and you're mixing words. Like emo violence was before screamo. Like
yep,
people would use that term a lot, but and it's like, of course, if we're gonna get tagged to one, it's gonna be the corniest sounding, cheesiest, like, dumbest sounding word. And then the word that where people were like, no, that's not real screamo. The word they made up to delineate us even further is even worse than the original word. But you know, so I guess that's what I think of it. It's just sort of like, whoa, how did we get tagged with the worst, literally the worst sounding genre tag I've ever heard in my life. The one that maybe Twinkle Scrams is right. You know, I almost want to be Twinkle Scrams,
Yeah.
just because it's like more offensive, and that right, more punk rock than any of them. You know,
Yeah.
Twinkle Scrams. Yeah, fuck you.
I always laugh at Sasscore too, when kind of like hardcore bands kind of had that, you know, quirky, like good sounding Blood Brothers kind of sound, and a lot of bands kind of went into that like type
If
of
they
thing.
went if they whimpered and had hairspray, they were Sasscore. Or if they
Yeah,
had a white belt. No, there was a lot of whimpering in Sasscore. I remember that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was wild. I wanted to talk about your art. How did you start doing art? And obviously, you've done so many great things on you know, Darkest Hour, Pig Destroyer, Portrayal of Guilt, you know, Page 99 stuff. How did that start for you? And obviously, it's going good right now. Uh, just talk about your artwork.
Um, it's funny because my Instagram right now is sort of like
Mm,
doing this as well,
yeah,
and I'm intentionally doing it to sort of. It's a good question because this is exactly what I'm doing right now, and the thing in my life that takes the most priority,
mm,
is organizing my output. Like it's my biological dad before he passed. Ironically, he's the only one in our entire extended family that ever made any large amounts of money. But I only met him when I was 30. I told the story earlier, actually, and he had rolls of $100 bills he'd keep in his pocket, and he'd peel one off and give it to the mailman. He'd peel one off and give it to the cashier at 7-Eleven. He'd peel one off and give it to his taxi driver.
mm,
Uh, he was crazy like that, incredibly generous, very very eccentric.
yeah,
Uh, but he told me, you know, because I obviously had no experience with money. He's like, and he saw the money in my wallet. I think he was giving me money, and he saw the
yeah,
money I had already had, and he said, "You got to organize your bills. Or you got to face them, orient them in the same direction. If you don't organize your money, you don't know how much you have. You don't know how much you have. You lose it." And it was just practical. Like
yeah,
he was just saying it, and it really fit my brain too. Because ever since I've done, you know, when I do things like that, if I attach this weird little OCD habit to it, it
yeah,
actually I can sort of craft a healthy habit. But so that's what I'm trying to do intentionally with the art stuff is chronological as I can remember, and sort of remember where and how things started. And really, it kind of started. I mean, I've drawn my whole life. I
yeah,
I've on the kind of trajectory where that's almost been expected of me by parents and teachers
yeah,
and peers and stuff, to go to art school and to be a professional artist. And um yeah, the pressure of that, I think eventually after I showed in my on my seventh grade portfolio to myself that I can do almost any medium in a
yeah,
way that I'm satisfied with,
yeah,
I literally uh, stopped drawing. I kind of did it on the side of papers in math class throughout high school, and then punk, and actually hip hop before that, and graffiti. Really started getting me back into like just being curious that I knew how to draw. Like,
yeah,
oh yeah, I know how to draw. Like, and I do things that people would like. Punk, you know, for your punk band, I draw your band as like I remember this like studded mohawk zombie like reaching out when I was 16 and
yeah,
for a band, and then it didn't start, you know, all the Page 99 records. It was me and Mike and or whatever combination of us
yeah,
going to Kinko's and figuring out what we all wanted. And then by the time Document 8 came to pass and we needed art for that, I got my hands, because my friend Adam Perry is in a band from around here called PCP Roadblock. He's a really good artist too, and he got me into graffiti a lot. But he showed me these books because he was making these collages out of these Harper's archival like newspaper
Mm.
woodcuts, like,
Yeah.
and it's copyright free clip art. He's making flyers with it, and I started collaging a lot with that on Document 5. But I started like vandalizing those woodcuts just haphazardly, with no actual thing in mind before Document 8, and then just started really honing in on that as like a tie-in from Document 5's, using some of those woodcuts really just as a collage. But now I'm starting to manipulate them and draw over top of them, or erase certain parts of them and draw over it. And it
Yeah.
was all white out, Sharpie, or like a fine Sharpie, whatever it was at Kinko's.
Yeah.
So like the first bit of my art stuff was really necessity mediums, Xerox, Scotch tape, whiteout, whatever I could get my hands on to get the thing there. Cause we did everything at Kinko's. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't go home and work on it. I didn't have these things that I had worked on and then brought to Kinko's. It was always like we'd go to Kinko's and we'd start at like we'd go at late 11 o'clock, because nobody would be in there, and then we'd be there till 5 a.m. We get coffee with the sun coming up, and
Yeah.
have pages of this stuff. But yeah, that's really what got it started, I think, is just uh accidentally started vandalizing those woodcuts. And it really, sometimes when you do music or art or something, when you hit something where you hit a point where it almost smiles back at you, where it's telling you by way of your response to it, like,
Mm.
that it's happy right where it's at. Like, don't go any further, just stop right there.
Yeah.
This is good. And that's kind of where those images started speaking to me in this, like, you don't need anything else,
Yeah.
just do this. And I really started zooming into that really quickly. People started asking, had seen that artwork after that came out and started asking for similar things. And then as I describe on my, just recently on the Instagram feed, that when JR and Pig Destroyer
Mm.
approached me for the painter, that record, and it was that and Terrifier really just,
Mm.
it, I mean, it's funny, Document 8, I didn't feel like a guy that does people's album covers for them. But when I finished Terrifier, I was like, I'm that guy that will do your album cover for you. And I love to do it. I would absolutely love to do it. And I actually know how I want to approach them. I know how I want them all to look. Like, I had Mercy in my head years before I ever found the image that I manipulated, years before I put any color in it. Like that, the composition is almost verbatim. I just waited till I saw it, like, and then, there is a lot of like that involved in my process of waiting, and then something will be obvious.
Yeah. Document 8 kind of springboarded popularity in your artwork, I feel, because I've seen so many tattoos of that artwork from Document number 8 that
Same, yeah, it's crazy.
it's insane. I mean, I
It
have
blows
two
my mind.
of that release on me, so
I do
it's
too.
yeah. Like I said, if
We're twins.
I, I've seen so many tattoos of that artwork. Does that kind of, inspire you to do more stuff? I know you said too about the Victorian zombie-ish style that you kind of wanted to get away from that after a while because you did so much of it. Did that kind of springboard into something else though? And do you want to go back to do like a Victorian zombie type thing for somebody?
Well, the funny thing about the Victorian zombie style is it actually has a like has a cap.
Mm.
I ran out of books to find them. I
Yeah.
can't find them anymore. And I actually really started studying on how to make my own woodcuts, basically off of photographs I take,
Yeah.
so I can continue that style. because I really do like doing it. And I would do it exactly the same. I would actually just wood cut and make a pure wood cut, unmanipulated image of a photograph I have, and then I would Xerox that and just go to town on doing it the way I used to do it. But I ran out of supply. I don't have any more. I vandalized all the ones I have, and there's still, in my books, there's still hundreds of untouched ones, but none of them spoke to me. They're just going to sit there because they actually don't have good composition, or like, I don't like the way the hair looks, or I don't really want to work with this or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's more of that than getting tired of it because I did it too much or anything like that. I just sort of ran out of good stuff to do, but hopefully someday I'll figure out how to do it, man.
Now,
there's a couple of artists. I'll point them your way after this, or because I have to remember them. Your followers should know too. But like, there's a couple of artists. I know one that I can mention. His tag is @pighands. Pig hands. It's like I almost think, and we're like mutual fans of each other. But I almost think, and I could be much older than him. I don't know if he started at all. It's full speculation because of anything I did. But I almost think he thought I illustrated all of those designs. And it's like, that motherfucker can do it. I can do it. And he literally draws like a woodcut.
Yeah.
His lines are so precise. And he is a phenomenal pensman. The way I am nowhere, I couldn't even touch, but I would almost commission him to do that to a few things that I like the composition on, so I could do that. But he's amazing, and I would almost even implore him to mentor me if I could, to learn something like how to illustrate like that. I mean, I'm good, but not that good. Like, I can't do that. Like, I mean, or if I could do it, it would take me about 3 or 4 weeks to be able to get one usable thing, but yeah, not like that. Like, but yeah, no, I mean, and it's funny because I'm more interested now in like, I'm really like growing my mixed media approach. I'm still trying to always be analog. My first digital cover was We Are Always Alone, and not to say I don't like it, but I wish I had done that analog, and I think you would be able to tell that it's analog, and it would look better. But maybe they'll give me another chance at it for a repress later down the road. I don't
know. Now, what's your favorite cover that you've done all time for you, in your mind?
We Are Always Alone. I think it's exactly what I've always done, but it has this evolution to it, and the approach, and then the meaning and the timing. Everything was it's a powerful cover, and like I spent months on those tiny little bubbles, and just like adding shade. It was to escape, and it was on my Instagram, but like to sort of escape the grief after my dad passed. I was just in that thing. I was inside that drawing, and then the way the actual cover, the way it looks, came about is, it was so weird. I set up in a dark room. I bought a camera, nice, whatever megapixel, the best thing I could find. It's a Sony, for the price, Sony A6000, to take a picture of this record cover.
Yeah.
And I had a light box set up in a dark room, and I was experimenting with the light box. I was like putting Christmas lights in it. I was trying different lights, and I ended up with a headlamp of my dad's, who had passed, and so it was backlit and front lit in the dark, and I increased a little bit of saturation post production and digital, but otherwise that's just a photograph in the dark of my drawing sitting over top of a light box being illuminated. That's where that halo around the head comes from. It's from the lamp my head. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, and I would love to do, I have, all these wild dreams of art shows or galleries, which I never get asked to do, where I have these, here, I'll show you. I have these bigger
Oh, sick.
pieces,
Wow.
like and it's, the frame is kind of like it's
Yeah.
wood. And I made that, and I'm like, okay, if I can make that, the top of it is MDF board, but what if I made it with clear acrylic or frosted acrylic?
Yeah.
And what if I put lights behind something like that and it hangs on your wall and just gives off this fucking chill ambience?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that idea. These self-illuminating uh, art, that, and you can see it in art I've done too. Like I always talk about the Painter de Girls record as like a human, like cop light or Christmas tree,
Yeah.
and and that is, I've always wanted to a piece to get close to that idea
Mm.
where you can just kind of see that glow, that 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 comforting ambient glow inside of something that's really unsettling.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm still aiming for it. Someday you're going to see it because I'll get closer and closer to it. But yeah, I think that portrayal record is the closest I've gotten to date of that kind of, since I've come up or dreamed about this thing I want to get closer to.
Yeah. I love that Crestfallen album cover too. I love that.
Thanks.
So it's one of my favorites too. And plus, I'm a huge Crestfallen fan. Like I've always loved that band.
Yeah.
I know those guys
Same.
are kind of like young brothers to you guys too.
Yeah.
Just such a like an underrated band that doesn't get talked about enough in my eyes because they were so great. And that's another band I got to see like 4 or 5 times. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah, and
was
they were a flash in the pan too. I mean, they were around for a minute and toured a little bit, but but I mean, over too soon for sure. Yeah, I love that band. I mean, those guys too, like Christian. Christian made a little impact with Mean Jeans. Christian and Rich went on to do that, and Nate's band Big No is like one of my favorite bands ever. I've moved to tears watching him play.
yeah.
And they just like, it just awesome growing up around, seeing them grow up around, I don't know. Yeah, that I described that on the post, like, just like, gosh, it's crazy to think of how long ago these guys seem young, so much younger than me, but they're like, we're all contemporaries now. I love those guys.
Yeah. And luckily I got to watch both of your bands play. Brian Frenette from Day and the Children had the Friendly Fest where
Oh
you got
yeah.
played two like Malady played with Crestfallen, and then the earlier Friendly Fest Mannequin played with Crestfallen. I think was
Yeah.
that when the Now played too. Did you play that
I
show?
think that was, yeah, I think that was it. I think I seen that flyer in my basement actually. But don't quote me on that because I am no archivist. But yeah, the Friendly Fest is, it's funny because, and that's kind of what I was talking. Those both of the shows I remember, I almost have the layout in my head of the building, the back parking lot, like and it's funny. It's like I remember the weather, like
Yeah.
but funny enough, I don't remember all the bands that played, and I think it might be because when you're nervous about something, it sort of sticks with you a little bit. I think that was I think Malady, that was our first trip, sort of road testing any of those songs,
Yeah.
and I think that show specifically sticks with me because of that or whatever. But yeah, I mean, good times.
That was
Brian Burnett. I mean, I can't. They in the what a good dude. Do you still talk to him? You see him
yeah.
ever?
Through like DMs and stuff like that. Brian
Awesome.
was always nice to me. He actually, when I was in High School Sweethearts, that band that I tagged you in, he gave me an opportunity to. My band played with Off Minor and Wolves in
Yeah.
pieces in Connecticut. So I mean, such a great guy. Set up so
Yeah.
many shows, and he was always up in Boston in this area too. When Page 99 played Manchester with Sister and Trillion Barnacle Apps, he was right there. He was at almost every show that I was at, or he was setting up the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
That's the thing, man. Those heroes, people that I mean, the work that and the energy. It's like the ones that do it right.
Mm.
They're almost like all copies of each other because they have this like a contagious enthusiasm. It's the only thing that can get you through years of booking bands
Yeah.
is a unwavering enthusiasm and optimism. And he's just such a great example of that. Always, God, what a
Yeah.
relief to have to know he's taking care of you.
Oh,
Like
I know.
when
I keep trying to push him to do a new Friendly Fest.
he should, man.
I don't
Tell
I
him,
don't think he's with it, but I keep pushing towards
t-
it.
tell him, Chris will try to convince Page 99 to play if he
Oh,
does it again.
oh, all right. Well, I'll be message him right away then, because that would be
Just actually tell him this. Like, let's figure out a good benefit for that area. Let's figure out like who doesn't have the most funding,
mm,
and pitch it. Like a one-off might be really fun. Friendly Fest, I think that'd be awesome.
yeah, that would be awesome. Pete Zetlin from Sinaloa is another guy from up here that set up tons of great fests. He did Tin Can Full of Dreams Fest for breast cancer awareness. It, Reversal Man played that. There was this.
Get Okay, this is what we do. Get Brian's blessing to pass over Friendly Fest to him because he's still in the mix, right?
Yeah, Pete's still in the mix. Yeah,
Pete.
definitely.
So get Pete. Pete needs Brian's blessing to take over Friendly Fest, and then we'll talk to Pete about who do we benefit, and then
Yeah,
in the neighborhood.
maybe all three of us can come together and because I listen to a lot of new bands too as well, and I talk to a lot of new bands. So I mean, I have a lot of ties with newer bands and stuff like that. So I think between all three of us, we could make an amazing fest and a great benefit. You know.
Let's do that shit. I'm 100% down. I will do my best to, to do what I can to wrangle the eight of us. But if not us, but Terminal Bliss or something,
Yeah.
like I mean, me and Mike have been really wanting to get back together with Pygmy Lush and play some quiet stuff.
Yeah.
All of us actually talk about it, our schedules and everything else, but prevent it. But I'm actually going to carve out a couple of days here coming up to go play some quiet stuff with Mike. I mean, maybe that would be a cool thing, like
Yeah.
do old friends in an entirety or something like as a one-off
That'd
benefit or something,
be awesome. That would be awesome. Speaking of Page 99, I always say this in my head about Blake. Blake has the perfect voice to do a podcast. Somebody needs to do a podcast. He's got that voice that like you want to
he
hear over and over again. You know
he
what I
would
mean?
be amazing. I would just crack up the whole time. And I mean, Blake tried to be a comedian a couple of years ago, and he won't get mad if I say this, but he probably had his moments, but that's not how Blake is funny. Blake is funny when you're hanging out with him, or you're just when you realize how quick-witted he is, like and quick-witted in such a goofy, hilarious way that like I don't know, that he was part of the thing. Contagious enthusiasm and just hilarity is part of the reason I enjoyed those tours so much, is being around him. I love that guy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've said it over. We used to say it all the time because he used to have a call sign. He's like, I forget, it was Rick something, whatever his name was, his like DJ name. He was like Rick something. He was like, thanks for joining us for another 7-song superset coming up next. And he
Yeah.
just did it really well, and he would just riff on that like and sound like a radio, like a what do you do when like you duck quack quack 107 the duck coming. He's just like really like
Yeah.
really good at that. We've always used to joke about like he'd be great on like as like a radio talk show type of guy, and then podcasts. People invented podcasts, and
Yeah. He would be
I'll
great.
I'll work on it. Tell you
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
I'm working on Friendly Fest 3, 4,
I think it's
10,
six, maybe.
17. Yeah, okay. I'm working on 6 and getting Blake. What would be a good themed? You got to get him talking about something
Yeah.
to really, to really. keep him on task, because it could just get boring really quick, I'm sure. But anyway, but yeah, no, I'll pitch it for sure.
Um, I just have a few more questions. I don't want to keep you too long. My next question is, um, have you been listening to any new heavy bands that have come out in the past like 3-4 years? Are you listening to anything new that's kind of wowed you?
Uh, Soul Glow is the future, and period. I just really, I mean, Portrayal has
Mm,
blown me away. Like, I'm just gonna, I'm on, I feel on the spot, so everything went blank. But there's a bunch,
mm,
like some of the bands I've worked with, like, a bunch of our, like the Gift from God guys,
yeah,
the Infant Island guys.
mm,
But I mean, if we're talking impact, Soul Glow, just like,
yeah,
I just I just think that's going to get weirder and weirder. I just can't wait to see what they come up with. And I haven't felt like that about a loud band in a minute. So, and uh, become acquainted since with Ruben, and he's just such a solid dude.
yeah,
I just really, and basically them and Portrayal are my, like, I'm rooting for them.
yeah,
Every time I see what they're doing, I'm like, go, go, go. I love it. Like,
yeah,
but yeah, and they're pretty different, but yeah, that they both scratch an itch.
yeah. I talked to Ruben a while ago too, and it was great talk. He's such a
Awesome.
great guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with usually I do a rapid fire at the end of all these things. So I'm
Yes.
shooting off the rapid fire for you right now. My first question: all-time favorite New England hardcore punk screamo band for you, and from New England up around here.
Ampere.
Six. My next question: what was the first punk hardcore show you attended? Like real hardcore show, not like a Battle of the Bands type thing. Like a
It was Union Bomber Neurotics at Dharma Cafe in Fairfax when I was
now. Did that
16.
change your mind when you saw like a real hardcore show,
Oh,
punk show?
I was in love. I was really blown. You get blown away when you see people your age having that kind of the camaraderie of friendship, and just you're all going the same direction when you're playing the song. Like, there's this really neat thing that before I was able to do it, I was addicted to seeing other people do it, especially people that I could go up and talk to afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. My next question: what was your all-time favorite show you played? Like, you can give me a couple because you've been in so many bands. Like, what was the most important? Like, meant something to you, where you were like, "Wow, that was something special," and you remember it. Like most memorable, I guess I would say.
Most memorable. Well, it doesn't it because I like I when you asked the question, I immediately thought of this show that I'm going to tell you about. But then you're like, uh, you're attributing meaning, or like, sort of a deeper connection to that. But the memorable one that I first thought of is in Germany. I think it was in Germany or Berlin. We were we were truncated at that time, and had, not only less equipment to play with 8 members with, but also in some shows, some of the members just had to sit this one out. Boy, sorry, we don't have enough equipment for everybody. And that was funny, and it was funny to kind of see us do the best we can with that. But this
Yeah,
show, it was like a dungeon made of like stone brick, and it just looked so weird in there. But it was also very symmetrical, like, which appeals to me.
yeah,
My brain loves it. But so the way when we were about to start, I'm walking from, I guess, the bathroom or the bar up to
yeah,
the area, and I see how what we did. It was There's these, in the recessed into the brick wall, were these giant, you ever I don't know what the actual term for this, but they were like cutouts, window like cutouts, arched
oh yeah,
cutouts, but they were finished on the inside with brick too, but like probably it was about big enough for a person to stand in. And
mm,
we had just placed a member in these windows each, and had all the amps lined up underneath us, like, and this is up on the wall.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if both me and Blake sang, or if it was just me, but I just kept the mic on a stand
Yeah.
the whole time because it just looked like a installation. Like, and that just must have been crazy to see. I wish I could have actually been a fly on the wall instead of actually doing it. But that was a very memorable, because it was so different than that band's existence, and just novel to what was, tours can be very repetitive,
Yeah. Yeah.
and shows. But that was a big one. And then, in terms of meaning, or a connection, like I said before, that those last shows, so powerful,
Yeah.
such a real impactful thing for me.
My next question: what was your all-time favorite hardcore punk show you attended that you didn't play, that you went to go see a band? What was your all-time favorite?
Can it be that Lollapalooza?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of jumped the gun on that. Let's see. I actually do think that, because I mean, so much music that day. Lollapalooza '94, Jesus Lizard. Yeah, that that was like, that's basically what gave me the okay to be a singer, a wild man, or
Yeah.
whatever. That show, man. And not the main stage. They played twice that day. The second stage. David Yow was already drunk. I mean, he's one of my idols. I have a picture, a picture of me and him. He's to this day, the only guy I've ever been like, tap tap. Hi, you're my hero. Do you mind if I get a picture with you? Like,
Yeah.
just fanboyed, and he was like, sure. And we
Yeah.
both held out our beers. Oh God, what a generous. But anyway, he was already a couple of sheets to the wind. Had like bottles on all of his fingers. Coming from around the back, the music, the way Jesus Lizard a lot of times will just start, and he'll
Yeah.
be doing something and eventually make his way up. And he was jumping out in the crowd for that one, a shit ton, for the main stage. But the second stage he was doing a lot too.
Mm.
But he made it over, and the crowd cleared. He was in the crowd now somewhere. He wasn't being passed around like a joint. And then the crowd cleared, and I saw him. He's like, the dust is like up in the air because it's dirt, dirt ground. And there he is, beady little fucking shark eyes, just feral, like completely wild, and sweating, dripping sweat, like, or beer, or both. And we lock eyes, and I'm terrified. 14-year-old me has got bleach blonde hair, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, like, and I'm just like, ah! And he runs right. He smelled blood in the water. He sensed
Yeah.
the fear. Whatever happened, he ran right over to me, like grabbed me by the back of my head, with hair and all,
Yeah.
and just like laid this like wet, cute, like squishy, huge kiss on my face, like, and my life was forever changed. I was like, I want to be him. Or that's the gold standard. If you can't leave an impression like that, when you play, you don't have an instrument. You got no excuse. You have a job to do, like,
Yeah.
especially if your music's wild, like, but yeah,
Now,
that.
who else played that Lollapalooza? Because I went to
Oh
one,
yeah,
able to go to one, and it was the Smashing Pumpkins, Beastie Boys, Tribe Called Quest, L7, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds,
classic,
the Breeders, Boredoms.
awesome.
That was the only one I went to. Who played that Lollapalooza?
This one was whole. This is right after Nirvana was done. So the Nirvana was supposed to play this Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
Actually, in one of those one of those Kurt documentaries, she's yelling at him for not taking the Lollapalooza ticket because there's
Oh,
all this money.
yeah.
And it turns out she ended up doing that tour herself. And so they were the headliners. Sonic Youth was before
Ooh,
them.
ooh.
Beck played, Redman, Cypress Hill, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Pavement. Um,
Wow, that's a good lineup.
I think on one of the backstages, God, what was that band? It was like a Pavement, but not. was a real indie band. I can't remember. I think I want to say Girls Against Boys was on one of the stages. Uh, Elastica. Who else? I can't remember. I'm missing a few people, but it was an amazing show.
That's a great lineup, definitely.
Yeah,
The side stage for the one I went to, the only ones I can remember is like Luscious Jackson, and then Fuji's played, where nobody knew who Fuji's was at the time,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I was like, "Whoa!" when I saw them. So that was
yeah. No,
uh,
those things. It's funny that um, I that's like a modern day whatever these fests are that have everybody.
yeah,
And I like kind of I don't scoff, but like that whole idea it doesn't appeal to me anymore. But
yeah,
gosh, you know I was really it was so formative. I'm so grateful that I got to see all those bands in one spot. It's
yeah.
funny how we change.
My next question. I'm a huge movie guy. I watch movies all the time. What was the last movie you watched?
Oh gosh, movie because I've been watching a shitload of shows. Oh, the last movie I watched was Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 with Mickey Rourke.
Nice,
I
nice.
fucking love Marvel movies. I'm not a movie guy. I I feel like dramas or things that are closely aligned with real life,
Mm,
if I've experienced it, I don't really want to be entertained by that sadness.
yeah,
And it just does not I think also I'm very emphatic. So like if I put on a really sad song, with the idea that I'm gonna happily go about my chores, cleaning up the house.
yeah,
No, I get sad. I get real
yeah,
fucking sad. Like, and it's like it really does just like eke whatever the mood was that was intended finds me, and I am now in that mood. And so I'm really careful about the media I put on. Like I really only consume action blockbuster action movies with Marvel comic book characters from my childhood. It's
yeah.
a very comforting thing. I can shut off. It serves the purpose that I feel like TV should be served at. There is a lady just walking around in my backyard, willy nilly. That's funny. Oh, her cat. She's getting her cat. That's all. Um, but so that's yeah. That's how I approach.
Did you hit your sound? I can't hear you now. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Somebody was calling me. I didn't realize that it cut off the sound. Sorry,
yeah.
my apologies.
No problem. No problem at all. Now, what's your take on DC stuff? Like, have you seen Peacemaker, the series from the Suicide Squad? Have you been watching that at all?
Yeah, yeah. No, I haven't watched the series yet. I did like the Suicide Squad, that hilarious Guardians of the Galaxy style.
Yeah,
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm not really familiar with DC characters because I just wasn't a fan growing up. Like did DC have fucking Wolverine or Spider-Man? Fuck no. And do they have anything that can come close? Fuck no. And Superman, corny. Batman, kind of tight. I don't know. Like, but I'm a huge like I want to be Spider-Man.
yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
crawl all over the place during shows. I want to be Spider-Man. But no, that it was just sort of those were what I read. That's what I liked. So
yeah. Yeah.
I just never got familiar with the others.
Nice. Speaking on movies, I always ask this. What's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Great question. God, what a good question. Oh, nobody ever asked me shit like this. How am I supposed to know what this is if nobody ever asked me this question? Um, uh, I'm gonna go ahead and say Return of the Living Dead. I
Mm,
think it just has everything. Like it's the first movie where zombies were sprinting at you.
mm,
It's got hands down the best cinematic zombie of all cinema, the Tar Zombie.
Yeah.
So unsettling. Even today, looking at, I would love to shake the hand of the team of creature creators that made that zombie. It's been a it's been a huge influence on me. Just seeing, I yeah, I mean, so that movie is it's hilarious. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's got samples and Quincy Punk songs. It just it's a it yeah. Now that I think about it, that's definitely my favorite. Return
Yeah.
of the Living Dead.
It's
Thanks
funny.
for helping me realize that.
It's funny. I watched. I have two daughters. One's 9 and one's 12, and they're always asking to watch horror movies. So I'm like, all right, let's watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, and I put it on for them, and they were into it. They watched it, and then at the end they were like, "That's it," and I was like, it was like,
Not
"Yo,
phased.
only killed like 2, 3 people."
Yeah, they don't have the cause. Like the body count is like actually how scary it is, rather than. I mean, Texas Chainsaw. You have to dig the tension, man. You have to
Yeah,
dig the
where,
negative space. Yeah,
yeah, that's where it's at. But they were like, it was good, but they didn't love it. I think my
yeah.
oldest liked The Shining a little bit better. So
Nice.
I mean,
Well,
but
that's a good sign. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's a good sign when they could sense that Kubrick weirdness,
yeah,
and be have it appeal to them.
yeah.
When I met my stepbrother and stepsister, my little stepbrother and stepsister, uh, unreal how they're related to me and my brother, and I didn't meet him until I was 30, but gosh, they're just like us. One
Yeah,
just draws all the time and is into just like moody dark music,
yeah.
wearing black, dyeing her hair different colors, and the other one is like obsessed with every horror movie ever made, a collector.
Oh,
He collects all of them,
yeah,
and has the posters up in his room. So it's really uncanny how that's kind of built into us. So
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Um, I also am a huge hip hop guy. I've recorded a bunch of live hip hop stuff, especially
yeah,
like the boom bap era of like the
yeah,
'90s, late '80s.
really.
If you, yeah, I mean, on my Instagram, I mean,
I'm gonna go a deep dive.
it goes from Dell to you know, Rakim to KRS-One to
Wow, hell yeah,
hieroglyphics. I have all like, and my buddy was kind of ran the Middle East in Cambridge, so he'd let me go on the side of the stage and just film all these
dude.
like amazing hip hop acts.
That's
Uh,
amazing. Like that's almost an investment. It's like a that would be your child's inheritance. Like to have so much. So you have such a great archive of stuff. God bless you for actually bringing it. It's like you didn't let it slip away.
no,
It's not floating around in this intangible ether because of you. That's awesome. I mean, I wish I had, I wish I had these flag posts for some of my memories like that. I'm so glad you did that for yourself.
I appreciate that. With my hip hop question, what if you've been listening to hip hop lately? What have you been listening to?
My brother, I don't know much of new stuff. I
No,
really got into
I
the,
mean, old stuff. If you've been listening to
oh
old stuff,
yeah. Um, uh, I love that Childish Gambino record when it came out. But that's really the only new thing I actually got into. But go on to Spotify if you have it. Search "Your Screaming Youth"
yeah,
is my brother's tag, and find his '90s hip hop mix, and that's what I listen to when I listen to hip hop because
yeah,
it's got everything.
yeah,
It's our me and his like, yeah, 1994 basically, or 1992 to 94.
yeah. I'm always shooting messages back and forth with Mike too, and I think I sent him my Spotify hip hop
Oh, really?
like the playlist on.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're always like bouncing stuff back.
Dude, I honestly, I bet they're interchange. I bet I could put yours on and be just as familiar. But yeah, I mean, my favorites of that era is Dell. I love Del LaFunky and Sapien, and of course, that record '93 to Infinity
Yeah,
is so. It's still to this day like just chills me the fuck out. I love it. That Guru Jazzmatazz record is one of my favorites too. I love that record. It's so relaxing.
yeah,
Um, and then when I hear some of the classic things, like a lot of
yeah,
Ghetto Boys are like really underrated. I mean, I guess there's some there's some it's graphic, and it could be troubling to some people, and I understand that. But the tracks, like some of the tracks that are like so good, like
Yeah.
the way they, I mean, and hard as hell, like. And I really loved that Wu-Tang record when it came out.
Mm.
That double record, that double LP, For Heaven's Sake is my favorite off of that record. If you ever want to hear Chris's favorite Wu-Tang song, For Heaven's Sake.
Nice.
But yeah, I like anything with like, like specifically I like Dell and just like the kind of he's a wordsmith and
Yeah.
like he's really just playing around with words and it's fun. I feel like it's informative and he's telling a story, but he's also kind of putting on a clinic of how to piece words together
Yeah.
and curious ways. You're always getting like, oh shit, or
Yeah.
like you know there's always something that surprises me listening to him. He's very original, and you can there's a guy I always like to say you can trust this person with if I trust you with like by putting on your record, it means that nothing you do or could do would ever turn me off because I know where you're coming from and I
Yeah.
just trust you. Whatever you come up with, I'm going to find out why I like it. But I will find out why I like it if it doesn't hit me right away.
Yeah.
And he's one of those people where it's just like this is a no-brainer every time how good it is.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
Deltron and all that stuff. I haven't done a deeper dive into uh, Deltron, like his like newer material, but every time I do, I'm just pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. He's great. He's great. I have two more questions.
Sure
Uh,
thing.
my next one is, what was your favorite song to play live on when you were in Page 99, or like even if you play, like say you're gonna play another reunion show, what song do you want to play live? What's the most favorite one for you?
Uh, I think it'd probably be the last song off the Majority Rule Split, or the first song off the Majority Rule Split. One of those two. They were so fun, and I got so behind them when we play. Yeah, just your personality evaporates. You're just like this
Yeah.
thing alongside this orchestrated, controlled, chaotic mess or whatever. And yeah, those were always very, I I always think it's like it's really easy to be immersed and music like that. So when whenever that happens, where you disappear or you merge with what you're playing with, um, those are my favorite. That's why I like music. And it happens in the practice space sometimes. It happens at a show sometimes, but where you're no longer one. You're like a hive. You're a group mind, and you can feel what up, Bobby. You can feel yourself uh, joining it or merging to it, and it's not just you and your friends, but it's you and this thing that you made. And the thing you made is really, I guess it's the thing you and your friends are inside of or driving a vehicle of some sort. But yeah, those two songs really, when, but honestly, most of Page 99 stuff's like that. I'm gone. I'll see you in 40 minutes or something. But and a lot of that Document 8 stuff really just because of the impact it has on other people when we play that live and what it does to a room,
Mm,
when a room, because it's the same concept as the eight of us, only now you have 200 of it.
yeah.
And sometimes the song is 200 people involved,
Yeah.
or it's being played by 200 people and the feeling of that or whatever. And I think you could kind of pluck any number of those Document 8 songs or the things that really resonate with other people
Yeah.
will get me right in that same space.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And my final question, if you could, conjure up a dream team of like heavy, like make a heavy band, who would be in your dream team band for heavy musicians?
Oh, great, really great question. And I hope Bobby stays on here because he'd be my singer, uh, Chief Tail. Because if I can't be the singer, or maybe it'd be, yeah, I'd probably. Okay, here's my lineup. I get, of course, and I'm so you're gonna think I'm just such a a homer. Oh God, I feel so bad. I'm gonna do it, but my brother would be the guitar player.
Yep.
Johnny, Phase 99's drummer, would be the drummer. That's my favorite drummer and my favorite guitar player playing heavy music together.
Yep.
Uh, and then probably throw Brandon on bass or Kevin. Actually, switch out Brandon for Kevin. No, Brandon. Go back to Brandon. And then Bobby to sing. But who knows what they would write? Actually, no, fuck that. Okay, I change it up. My brother Johnny. Okay, if it was a punk band, it'd be Mike and Johnny, Sam McPheeters of Born Against, and no bass player. It'd just be a 3-piece, and it'd be probably my favorite band in the world. And then if it was like noise rock or something along those lines, David Yao would be the singer of that. Bobby is this close second to that for that band because that would really be nice. And then for that band, I would have Kevin as the bass player because he can walk all over that shit. And then I would still have Mike as a guitar player, still have Johnny as the drummer. And yeah, so and that would be my split, sort of a noise rock band and a punko band. It'd be Mike and Johnny, a different bass player, and either David Yao or Sam McPheeters.
Nice.
Thank you for that question. Sorry it took so long, but
Oh,
yeah.
and finally, like, do you want to let anybody know if you have something going on, like with like your artwork for something for sale or anything you want to pitch for people that don't know? Like, I know you print a lot of shirts sometimes, and you know, if you have artwork that's for sale or whatever, and just let people know what you have going on.
Well, really just this, and to say, you know, I guess if I due diligence, Terminal Bliss will have an LP out before the year's up on Relapse.
Ooh.
22 songs or so.
Ooh.
The working title is Police Errata, but it's definitely just like the way they'll say it. I just had to name it something for my notes. But it's gonna be very, very angry. I don't know how much more angry I can get with the way I'm really saying some things I've wanted to say for a long time on this one. It's gonna be exciting. That's kind of the only pitch for music I got going on. Art, I am in the process. This is a two. Art, I'm in the process of like I said, reorganizing my catalog, and sort of like as I go through chronologically and finally reach the end, I hope to then just pick up and continue to do commissions for albums and stuff. And
Yeah.
but what I really want, and if any of you 16 people watching right now know of an avenue to get me there, is I really want a tattoo apprenticeship. I've been learning for about 3 years how to do this, studying everything I can by mining my friends that tattoo, everything from everybody I know that has any interest in my art that tattoos. I'm mining those people for every bit of information they're willing to give to me. And I am ready to be your apprentice. I will fucking scrub your toilets. I will fucking, but don't make me go out here and do this on my own.
Yeah.
And be illegitimate, because I will. And I don't want to have to do that and be a black sheep my whole life. I want to be a part of an art community where I can go to work, I can draw for a living, I can put my iPad down on the table and my flip-flops, and I can draw for you. I want to draw for you. I want to draw more. And that is my hope, that somebody will help me with that. But that is not a pitch. It's just really what I want more than anything.
I want to
right
do
now.
I want to do this real quick. We got 20 seconds. I want to thank you
Sure.
so much doing this. I appreciate it so much for you taking time out, a couple hours. I'm going to throw this on YouTube, so I'm sure more than 16 people will be watching. And I'll send you some links too as well. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Hal. I love
Have
you, buddy. I appreciate it too. Great job, and we'll catch up soon.
all right. Love you, man.
Love you too.